welcome everyone to this GWNET Member Power Session. We have started these online events because we believe that we have such a great, rich network of members in our community. We currently have 4,000 members who are women working in energy, in all sorts of aspects of the energy transition and all over the world. And we're really proud to say that around 9,900 women have participated in our mentoring programs. And we have a pool of 950 mentees and mentors also. Okay, so it's very, very special for me to see all of you here today and kick off the first GWNET Member Power Session with Dorothe Stahljans. She is a really talented business coach, facilitator, and speaker who has a very diverse background. So she's originally from Germany, but has lived for a number of years in China and has also lived in India. And you have quite an international background. I know that you will soon be in Kenya organizing a workshop over there with a university for female leaders also. And Dora herself has a very diverse career background. She's worked in banking, also in the corporate world for startups. And a subject that is very, very close to her heart is well-being in the workplace. So mental health, well-being, and basically just having a career where you thrive and you feel supported. And I know that you were also a community leader of it was called Bear, correct? And it was a very, very thriving community in Beijing, where they would share stories of empowerment, vulnerability of people who had faced challenges in the workplace with confidence, with burnout and mental health struggles. So it's a huge honor to welcome you here. And without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Doro. Sorry, I call you Doro because yes. I know Dorothea for a long time, but officially you are Dorothea.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nadini. So let me share my screen. 1 second, please.
And maybe, Doro, just before we get started, I would also just like to give a quick introduction of how we want this session to run. So we want this to be very interactive. Of course, we're online, but we also want to be very connected. So please do feel free to use the chat box. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the session, and you can drop your questions in there. At the end, I will pass your questions on to our speaker and read them out. And just so everybody knows how the chat box works, at the top of your screen, you should see a button that says chat. So maybe we could test this thing out. If everyone could just type where they are currently tuning in from. So what country or city are you tuning in from? So here, I'll give it a go first. And I think, okay, we've got the Netherlands. Okay, shout out to Laura from the Netherlands. What else? Johannesburg, South Africa, Brussels, Canada. Wow, we're covering the whole globe. Okay. London, that's my hometown. Good old London. Okay, great, great. Jordan, Kazakhstan. Okay, we really are an international group. This is wonderful. And Dora, you're calling us from Germany, right?
Yes.
Okay. And of course, although our attendees are muted, you can use the chat box, send in questions, and also give some reactions. So you see that smiley face button at the top of the screen. If you want to give Doro some applause or some love, if anything she says is really resonating with you, do give her a reaction. I think it would be really nice for her to have this feedback. All right. And with that, I will hand over to Dorothea.
Thank you very much, Nandini. Yeah, don't be confused. I have another laptop open so that I can follow the chat. And yeah, I'm Dorothe Stahljans, and already since the past days looking so much forward to this webinar today, because I really love to empower women so that they will be confident and thrive at work. And today I really would like to explore with you together by sharing your experience and knowledge, so that we all can gain a bit more confidence and know what to do the next time this little voice in our head is mean to us. A few more words about me. As you can see, I, like you, have a lot of different qualities. As Nandini said, I worked in a lot of different companies, banking, startup, and also supporting this organization in January and being close to Nairobi and talking more about team building then. And what I also like about, yeah, for example, my systemic business coach training, which I will tell you a lot more about in a couple of minutes, and more about my coaching approach. And in my free time, as you can see, I really like doing sports. I like trail running. Nandini and I already went to some trails in China already. I like to travel with the rooftop tent. And currently I'm based in Germany, in Osnabrück, in a very small town. Yeah, that is my business logo, Stahljans Coaching, because Stahljans is my last name. And on the right side, that's definitely not the best picture I have ever taken in my life. But I was walking through the streets of Shanghai when I was preparing a presentation also for a women's symposium. And I read, "What are you waiting for? Spread your wings and soar." And I was really flashed. I was like, wow. I immediately knew this is such a powerful sentence, and now part of my coaching approach. Spread your wings and soar. That means that the workshop participants, or the coachees, how I call my clients, they will find their strengths to succeed with my support. I give them the necessary support so that they can grow beyond themselves. And for me, it's always very important that the workshop participants develop their solution to their problem, because my solution to their problem might not get them anywhere. If the coachees like, I can definitely give advice, but I really want to have their unique solution for their problem. And I'm a systemic business coach, and nobody knows what that means. And it means I also look at the working and living conditions of my coachees. What can be influenced and what not? We as women tend to overtake 150% of responsibilities for whatever is happening in work and in life. But we work and live in a specific system, and so we cannot influence everything. We have a specific scope of action, and the other part we cannot control, but we can control how we react to it. And first, we might think, oh, that's a pity. I cannot do anything, but that is not true. We really have this scope of action where we can do a lot. And it can be a huge release knowing that we don't need to do everything and don't need to control everything. For example, I was working in a bank a few years ago, and we had a new system and there was new laws we need to obey. And I didn't know about the systemic worldview. I just found out later about it. And I always thought, oh, I'm so slow, I'm not efficient. But later I realized there was no way I could have done better, because the system was really not appropriate. And it took so much time just typing in one ID information or other things. And yeah, so it's important to see and feel this release, that there's only one scope of action. And for me, also being confident means that we are able to share our perspective. That is our scope of action. For example, I established my business this year, and in Germany, we can apply for some money for some founder's credit. And for that, I needed to write a business plan. And that woman, she was really nice and kind, but she demanded more and more things of me that I should write down in that business plan. And at one point I was really like, no, I will not change anything anymore, because I didn't saw any value in that. And then she was really like, okay, And I was so surprised, and I was like, oh, yeah, some people are like that. And I think this is being confident, being able to share my perspective and seeing what is my scope of action. And I wish the system would be different, but yeah, we live in this world, and this is how the world is functioning. And what is always a huge release for my clients as well is to know about the mechanistic and the systemic worldview. Mechanistic means that we see the world and the companies like a machine, where we have an input, we have an output, everything is controllable, we know how everything will function. But that's not true. And so when I got to know about the systemic worldview, it's much more approachable. If we think about organizations as living social systems that interact with their environment, we know that everyone is connected and that every change automatically causes a change in the overall system. And for example, we show up at work with all our experiences and needs and everything. And that, of course, influences the workplace we are working in. And to understand this complexity is not really possible. We can only approximately get close to that. And to understand that a lot of times we work in a system, or we think about, oh, there's a cause and effect, there are linear causal change, and we don't feel that it is right. And the systemic worldview looks on it a little bit different. It thinks about diverse interactions. And for example, did I react to something you said, or did you already before interacted on something I said or did? And this is why, like in the mechanistic worldview, where we talk about right or wrong and guilty and innocent, in the systemic worldview, we look about, oh, there are many truths, there are many perspectives, depending on the context. And I think this, like also the scope of action, is so relieving. And yeah, knowing that we can change the perspective and see a little bit what we can do about it. And before I would like to work on some tools, I also would like to, yeah, talk with a little bit more about confidence. But confidence means do it. I also really have a post-it on my computer that says do it, but I also have the other post-it on my computer that says be kind to yourself. So today we want to empower ourselves. We want to see how we can be confident. And this means we need to push sometimes a little bit further than our comfort zone, but still be kind to yourself, not only being harsh. It's not only about optimization and being perfect, but yeah, it's a mixture between those both. And also, when I prepared this presentation, thought about something we have here in Germany. Every time kids get their school report, there's a huge heart in the newspaper saying, "We love you and not your school report." And the parents are advised to cut that out and yeah, give it and show it to their children. And I think like the parents do that to their kids. And having this as a reminder, we should have that for ourselves as well. And before we start, I really would like to know, where are you currently? Maybe you can write down in the chat and let us know, how confident are you in your role on a scale from 1 to 10? And 10 is the highest score. Yeah, and this could mean something different for all of you. So the definition is up to you. And yeah, if you like, you can just write it down. I hope it's functioning. And
I can go first. I would say it varies day on day. I mean, I will say a 6.
Oh yeah, people are coming up.
Yeah.
And it's
so we
great
see
that you already have their different numbers. Yes, depending on the day. I think that's so true. And also understand, if you want to achieve something more confidence, it's important to know, where are you now and what do you want to reach? Or do you maybe have a person in mind where you think, oh yes, I want to be as confident as. And it's also okay to know, oh, is a 10 really necessary? I mean, if it's not part of your personality, why should you reach a 10? And also, what does mean a 10 for you? What would be different then? And today we look at some strategies, and in a week or months, you can ask yourself the same question. And if you do so, please, please, please do not underestimate your progress. even if you get 1.5 score higher or 1, that is a lot and really a reason to celebrate. Here in Germany, we don't do that a lot. You know, we are very strict, and but it's so important doing that. And we all should clap ourselves on our shoulder and be like, yes, it's so great that we are already here today and are willing to work on our confidence and doing something. Because then we also get motivated to work more on our confidence. So thank you very much that you all, are honest enough to share more about your confidence level. And I also would like to know, what are the biggest barriers to confidence at work you have experienced? For your summits, for example, fear of failure, imposter syndrome, negative feedback. Maybe you can also write that down. Because, for example, if you are not, you don't speak up at the meeting because you think like, oh, what will the colleagues say? In Germany, we always have this phrase of like, oh, what will the neighbors say?
So I can go first. I said people pleasing and scared of conflict. So that makes it hard establishing boundaries. Is it easy for you, Dora, if I read them out to you instead of you having to look at the screen?
I think now it functions quite well.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
before I wasn't sure how that will function, but now that I can see the chat, thank you, Nandini. Yeah, I think it's also not easy because as women, we are always told since we are a little one, oh, we should be nice, we should please other people, and please don't say anything. And so where should it come from that one day to the other, we think, oh yes, I can say something, I feel confident enough, I think I have enough knowledge. And also making boundaries, setting boundaries, it's really, really tough. Yeah, and I think also a lot of times this feeling of like, oh, I don't have enough knowledge, I don't know enough. That's so true. And yeah, we will work on those strategies today. I will try to give you some tools to do so. So let us have a look. What does mean being confident? I always like to work with definitions. And I would define it as belief in one's abilities, trusting one's skills, and being open to learning and growing. And here we are already having 3 ways to work on our confidence. Let us have a closer look. So the first one, believe in one's abilities, perform tasks, make decisions, and interact effectively with others in the workplace. And for that, please have a look. What are you already doing well? Because we will do what we tell our brain it should look for. And if we tell our brain, hey, look for the things that are already doing well, it will look out for those things. And if we tell our brain, hey, where did I mess up? It will also look out for those situations. And so be careful what you are looking for and what you are working on. And reflect for yourself doing that consistently and celebrate, as I said before, what you are doing well. Because, yeah, we all need that motivation to continue those things. And if you are unsure about, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing well, then ask your colleagues or friends. And ask those colleagues and friends where you think they will give you an honest and valid feedback, and not those where do you think they are jealous. And we also should keep in mind that sometimes we live other people's dreams. And if that once a friend told me that, and I was really surprised, and I was like, yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe at that moment in my life, I didn't feel that confident or happy about some situations, but he was really admiring me and be like, wow, it's so cool what you can do in that moment. So don't forget about that. And the next part, trusting one's skills, experience, and knowledge. And therefore, it's very important to not transfer old beliefs to the future. And there I really like the sentence from Pippi Langstrumpf. It's from a kid's book from Astrid Lindgren. And she said, I've never tried that before, but I'm completely sure that I can do that. And I think we all need a little bit more of Pippi Langstrumpf attitude. Because we haven't done it before, we have maybe done something similar in the past. And so we transfer it to the future and think, oh yeah, then we will mess up. But there's no proven track record. And sometimes I really think my inner chief risk officer should be fired. If that one would be on my payroll, definitely, because most of the time, the things that I'm worrying about, he is wrong. And so we shouldn't really think about those things. And another part, check according to whom and whose standards are you not experienced enough. If somebody tells you, oh, I don't think you can do that, why is he thinking that? And what does he in mind? Is he jealous, or where does it come from that he's thinking like that? And also, what are your other limiting beliefs you have? If we start to reflect on it and be like, oh yeah, that's true, that's something I think now, and that's a belief I have, but maybe double check, why is that true? And as I said before, again, get valid feedback from people you trust. And also, for example, if you don't feel like you have enough experience, for example, speaking in front of other people, hey, maybe there might be the next birthday party where you can just stand up and be like, hey, I would like to honor my friend and I would like to practice that. And I think sometimes it's even more difficult to do that in front of your friends. But then at the next company meeting, it should be so much easier. And one thing as women, accept that you do not need to be everyone's darling. And I think that's really difficult. And that's also the part of boundaries. And when I told that woman that really need to approve my business plan, I will not work on it anymore, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I really didn't saw any value in doing that. And so I was like, okay, I will just do that. And we also have another possibility to work on our confidence. Being open to learning and growing. And I know really that's not easy because everybody makes mistakes or experiences that something bad happens now and then. And yeah, we can just see how we react to that. We don't really can control that. And I know a lot of times it doesn't really feel good to say like, oh, yeah, now I learned something. But I really like the sentence from Nelson Mandela, I never lose, I either win or learn something. And trying to get this knowledge in our head. And I know society is not like that. It always tells us like, oh, you didn't do that right, you failed. But really, let us try a new approach. And next time something challenging happens, you will even be stronger. For example, we all watched Olympia a few months ago, and I'm pretty sure none of these athletes started their career and straightly go up to the gold medal. They all had a lot of failure stories. I'm pretty sure about it. Or Mozart or Bach, those famous musicians. They wrote so many songs, but we only know the best ones. And by writing more songs, they got better and better. And not all songs are meant to be liked by everyone. And for example, if you do more and more things, the few times that you, in your point of view, failed are not so, doesn't have such a huge impact anymore. And also, for example, I don't remember, it was it Mozart or Bach or somebody, he went to Vienna, he had this huge concert, and they didn't really like what he was doing. But he went to Prague, and he had standing ovations for 30 minutes. And so sometimes the right circumstances, the right environment is also so important for what you're doing. And so coming back to being open and learning and growing is, how do you deal with making mistakes, and what is your mistake strategy? And also, if I work with my clients, it's always so releasing to see that they think like, oh, true, mistakes are part of our normal life. Yes, I need to have a mistake strategy. I need to think about what I will do when something happens. And also, as I said before, how can you practice to gain more experience? For example, like the birthday party where you can practice a speech, or yeah, you can see maybe you can overtake already a small task in a big project. And also think about, how can you learn to gain more knowledge? So there are different ways. For example, you can read a book if you think you are not confident enough to talk about a specific topic or podcast or whatever. There are so many possibilities. And also share your failure stories with your authentic network group, not with everyone, because then we can also learn from each other. And then we just see, yes, failure is part of our normal life. And like Nandini said, I was also organizing events with regard to that. We called it, I think sometimes here in Europe, it's called Fucked Up Nights. We're really only sharing stories where you failed, where you really messed it up. Because if I did something where I think, oh, that didn't go as I thought it would be or should be, maybe somebody else can learn from that, and that makes life a little bit easier for all of us. Something else which I found really, really great is the change curve. I must say, I'm a very impatient person. And when I knew about this change curve, that was also a release for me. And this is why I like to work with that also with my clients, and they like that a lot. Science found out many years ago that if you undergo a change process, at first it will take time, and you will have different phases. You will experience. Sometimes you experience them not in a specific sequence, but you will experience them, and maybe you will not reach that low point as I pointed it out here. But like the athletes, you will never start something and then go immediately to the gold medal status. Let's work through that a little bit. So at the very beginning, before you change something, there are a lot of worries and fears and insecurity. And maybe you think, no, actually, I don't really need to change something, because we all look for stability, for security. And so it's important to start to communicate about that and see, hey, who can help me? And what do I really want to work on? And nevertheless, if you do so, there will be also a lot of frustration because you haven't done those things before. So develop tolerance for frustration. And you maybe will think, oh, but it was also good how I behaved in the past. And so, yes, acknowledge what have been good about the past and start this farewell process so that you are able to deal more with the new situation, so that you will develop an interest in new things. And as more as you then try out, your motivation will come back, and you will develop the courage to try things out, and it will help. It will get easier if you seek for support. And then there's this reorientation phase where you recognize opportunities and possibilities. And then life is getting easier. And unfortunately, if you then start a new process, you will start all over again. But you will not start with zero. You will not start with the same level as before, because you already know how to deal with change. Now I would like to do a little exercise with you. I hope you can see my hands. You just fold your hands as you normally do it. I hope you can see that. And now try to feel a little bit. How does that feel for you? I think for the most of us, pretty normal. And now you just change and put the other thumb on the top. And that already is a little bit more difficult because, I now have done it several times, so it feels like less awkward. But I still have immediately that feeling of like, no, I want to get back to this. This feels normal. The other way, no. And just realizing this is just a small little exercise you demand from your body, and just imagine what you're demanding from yourself if you want to do a bigger change. Just keeping that in mind, and be nice to you. And now I like you to go into breakout room discussions. We will do groups of 2. Maybe there will be one group with 3 people. I'm not quite sure. Nandini will do those groups for us. And now in the breakout room discussion, you can think about a situation or share a situation where you faced a barrier to confidence at work. And either how did you overcome it, what helped you, or what held you back? Maybe you can do a screenshot. Can you already see that? Now, okay, sorry, it was a little bit slow. I see you can just now see the breakout room discussion task. Great, so maybe you can do a little screenshot. You can take that task home or share with a friend or colleague and open up a little bit. Because in coaching, we always do that. We try to, and in this time, see what worked in the past and transfer that to the future. I know before I said with the bad things, we shouldn't do that. And really, really, please don't do that. But when something good happened, we can really try to do that again and apply that on other things in the future. And now, yeah, I really hope everyone is back. I like you to, and I have a little gift for you. I would like that you create your own personalized confidence action plan. And I would like to walk you through that a little bit. So please get back to the beginning of the session where you already thought about what is one barrier you would like to work on this week regarding your self-confidence. It also could be an action, a new habit you want to build, a limiting belief you want to overcome. Please think about that. Maybe you have something to write or can open a Word document. And if you all have one, I would like to guide you a little bit how you can do that. And yeah, also, I will also send the PPT to Nandini later. So if you don't know how to do that now, you can also work on that later. And there could be two ways, and I will guide you through that. I just want to give you an example. For example, if I say, I will work on my confidence by speaking up, that's already great, but it would be a little bit better if you say, this week, I want to share my knowledge during our sales meeting. I will let others know with at least one statement what I think about the new marketing strategy. Why should we do that in this way? It's called the SMART goal technique, and it really drives motivation. Because if we are more specific, if we say, okay, I will ask one question, I will make 2 calls, if there's a clear description and the task is broken down into to-dos, into individual to-dos, we are really more likely to work on it. And also if we make it measurable and say like, okay, 1 question, 1 comment, 5 comments, it's objectively measurable and it has a defined end. For example, if I say, oh, I want to finish my presentation today, I'm really not motivated. But if I say, okay, I will do 5 slides today, I will do 5 slides tomorrow, and 5 slides the other day, I really know what I will do and when I will be finished, and then I can go and, you know, be efficient and, I don't know, afterwards eat ice cream, have a coffee. And if I know if it's achievable. For example, is this meeting taking place this week? Or do I already have other appointments? Then of course I cannot achieve that. The goal can be achieved with the available resources and time. That's also very important to know. And of course, to think about whether it's relevant. So for example, if I'm dare enough asking 1 question, I will be able to ask more questions in the future, and then I will be seen by others. So if I know the goal will serve a higher goal, I'm also more likely to do that. And of course, giving it a specific time work point. For example, this week, or the target is implemented at a specific point in time. And that will all help you. And I will, as I said, I will send you the presentation, or I send it to Nandini. Then you can go through that and check for yourself whether you can formulate your task like that. And if you have any problems with that, please just write me on LinkedIn. I will later share my contact details as well. And of course, what will help you to overcome this barrier? So, as I said before, looking for the past situations that helped you. And another thing that is very important, what will you do on a bad day when you don't feel like working on it? There will be those days, especially if you have a goal that you cannot reach within 1 day or a week. You just need several months for it. So who can support you? So sharing also your failure stories, like I said before, will help you to just continue doing it. For example, I'm a runner, and without my running group, I definitely will go for a run if it's raining or if it's snowing. But if I know, oh, the other people are waiting there for me, or if you, for example, can make up a call with a friend once a week and say, hey, I would like to work on that goal. Can you challenge me on that? That's definitely very important to know what is your backup plan. And as I said before, one of the most important point is how do you celebrate your success? Because it is really so, so, so important. And as I said, I'm a runner. I never run the whole distance. I really imagine, I break it down in little tasks, and then I imagine what I will do after I finish the race. For example, I imagine me sitting on the couch, having a cup of coffee, and doing nothing anymore for that day. But that really motivates me to say, okay, it's another 5K, and I will do that. Or for presentations, the same. That, and also today, after this presentation, I definitely, will go for a little walk and take some extra time before I jump into a new task. Yes, and now it's up to you. I really hope that you could gain something out of this session today. And now the room is open for questions. You can also write them in the chat.
Okay, so Dora, I had a question come in on a PM. So the question is, when I receive new work tasks, I often feel very overwhelmed and stressed. And my boss has told me that she can see my lack of confidence. So I think she means visibly, like in this person's face. How can I deal with this?
Yes. I think first really breathe and then check what are the expectations, because sometimes it's all in our head. To whose standards do you need to finish that task immediately? Maybe that is really not the expectation, and then check with your boss. And also if you have a lot to do, check with your boss which project should be prioritized, and be like, hey, I really would work on that project. I also have project A, B, C, which will demand this and this amount of time. And I think in that way, it really shows that you are very considerate, that you thought about what will happening, what are the consequences, and this is why you just need some help for prioritizing. And I think it's really not easy, because a lot of times we have this feeling of like, oh, but we should immediately know how to do that. And sometimes really it helps breathing and maybe getting another cup of coffee, not for delaying, but just for preparing ourselves. It's maybe if something also is very urgent, getting back from this lazy mode into, okay, now there's a starting point. I hope that was already helpful, but if not, then just let me know.
And then another question that came in is about setting boundaries. So how can I establish boundaries with a colleague who is giving me a lot of their own work? How can I do this in a polite way that doesn't harm our professional relationship?
Yeah, I think first it's important, like I said in the presentation, you don't need to be everyone's darling. And also having that in mind and be like, okay, I'm allowed to say no. And I think that's a lot for us women. And then be like, okay, I have these things on my project list. And then definitely say, I can help you, or just say like, I can't help you, but how about, and then maybe offering help in the form of, what about you ask person XY? And we need to learn, don't need to justify ourselves, but we can give a quick explanation. So just, normally they say no is a complete sentence, but I know that feels awkward. So sometimes it's helpful us if we say, no, I can't help you, but please ask the other person. And in that way, trying to really set boundaries. And at the very beginning, it might not feel good. For example, I was talking to a friend, and she's ill. She's already ill for 2 weeks, and she was thinking about going back to work because her colleagues overtake so much extra work. But she's still not feeling well. And she just only wanted to do that because this little voice in her head was telling her like, but you're not a good colleague and you're not a good person if you be ill. And oh my God, you already feel better. And I tried to help her and be like, it's okay that you, and it's very good that you also think about your colleagues to also see the positive aspects of what we are doing, but also to remind her it's important to look out for your own health first. And in that way, prioritizing that. And at the end, she did that. She said, okay, I really need to be at home and to rest for another week. But still, it was not easy for her. And I think, like, as we saw the change curve before, is a process. And especially if we always said yes to everything that we have done before, it's a process, but still we can practice on it and compare maybe the feeling of, if I say now yes, I maybe need to, cancel my dinner date that I already made up with my friends for weeks, and compare that to this short amount of time where we maybe feel awkward because we have said no.
Okay, cool. Any more questions coming in?
Yeah,
Keep
I would like to join this discussion. My fear sometimes, if I say no, then I won't be helped next time by this person. So it's gonna be like, okay, I gonna set my boundaries, but next time they say, okay, you didn't help me, I'm not gonna help you. Something like this.
Sure, that can happen, but if you, for example, make clear, I cannot help you because I now have a lot of other things to do. I would love to help you next time, or if you ask me a little bit more in advance that you need help, it would have been easier for me. So in that way, trying to do that. But yeah, if it's a person who says, okay, you didn't help me and so I will never help you again, I think that's also not a good relationship. But if you,
it's true.
yeah, but still that's not easy. And also saying like, I really would have loved to help you, but for that I need to know that a little bit earlier.
Yeah. No, it's a good answer. And following your second example, I was it's a really good example how it's difficult to balance your own and prioritize your own needs. And because the harsh reality, there's such people who say, okay, I'm sick, I'm gonna like take a time off and I'm gonna just do best to recover. They could pass out for promotions and other stuff. They could see seen as unreliable. And this is, I think, one of the biggest fear when ambitious and motivated women trying to build a career and trying to build the boundaries, have a work-life balance, and still it's really difficult to don't push yourself occasionally. I guess my question is how to balance is in a healthy way, but not jeopardize your career growth.
And also for that, I think to see what is your scope of action. And if you are in a working environment that will also appreciate that you say like, I'm working on my health, and as soon as I'm feeling confident and as soon as I'm feeling better, I'm coming back and giving 100%, and also emphasizing that if I'm coming back and I'm ill, because if I'm back at work, everybody will want me to do 100% of the work that I'm there for. And they will not say, oh yeah, you are still in a recovery phase. Then they will be like, oh, why did you come back? And also, yeah, trying to work on that. And I know that is not easy. And I really hope that, if we all do that, there will be a different kind of environment that is less toxic and that is less supporting this really bad behavior of coming back to work if we don't feel good. And I think then also, trying to accept we don't need to be everyone's darling, because sometimes maybe there will be a colleague that will make a mean comment and be like, oh, you are back, and just be like, okay, I think that person said that because they want to be mean to us. And see, okay, if your boss is saying things like that, trying to emphasize those things and trying to be like, yeah, I want to be there when I'm 100% fit so that I can give 100%. and hope then you really have a boss who is a really good leader and will understand that approach. Was that helpful for you?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, I don't know what that was, but we have another question from Retabile, and their question is, when I have to present to a lot of people, I become nervous and my voice cracks even if I am confident about my knowledge. How do I overcome the trembling voice?
Yes, I think I can definitely feel you. I don't know whether you notice, but I notice my voice is definitely a little bit different than normally, and I'm maybe speaking a little bit faster than usually. But a lot of times I have the feeling it's only us who notice that. And I really like the birthday candle technique. So just imagine you have a huge cake in front of you, and it depends when you are already in front of your audience. Maybe you can just do small breathe in and then breathe out. But if you're somewhere else, you maybe imagine this cake in front of you and be like blowing out the candles. And I think by doing that and imagine that, nobody can still be serious. We all start smiling and we all, can shake off a little bit this being nervous. And if you still have time, go in because if we are nervous, it's in our body. You can maybe go to the bathroom and shake it off, really. And if you are already standing there, maybe you can do it in a way nobody notices. I don't know. You can play with your toes or shake your legs or something like that, so that the nervous that is in your body can release somewhere.
So we have 4 minutes left, and before we can keep the Q&A going for these 4 minutes, but I wonder if we could also take a quick photo with everyone.
Great. Oh yeah, I can stop sharing.
So if you want to be featured, you can show your camera, show yourself on screen. If not, of course, the camera off. So I will take a screenshot. Everybody look great. Okay. And Dora, maybe do you want to try taking one also from your computer in case it's better than mine?
Okay, so another smile. Great, you all look awesome. I like to see so many women in the room.
And one question we have is how do I deal with mean people? So people who make snide remarks, maybe in the workplace, passive aggressive.
So, for example, I do a lot of workshops about communication, and there's always this demand of people, a lot of models where you are blue and green and black or whatever. But I lately thought a lot about this psychological needs. So they are four. It's about safety, about feeling part of a community, being valued. And if you think about this and think about, okay, what does this person maybe need in that moment? Why is that person so mean to me? Maybe then you overcome from this feeling of like, oh my God, they really said that, to, oh, I'm really sorry for you that you need to behave in that way. Because if we go there from maybe a loving, kind feeling, it's easier for us. And then maybe it's easier for us to put that wall between the two of us. And don't let these mean words come to us. And trying to ignore that. I know it's not easy because I think words are like weapons, and it's out in that room, it's outspoken, but maybe that helps to push that a little bit back.
Okay, great. Well, we're almost out of time. Does anyone have a final question? Please shout out now for Dora. Okay, and I guess no more questions, but Dora, please do share your contact details with us. You can all find it on the link to this webinar where you signed up.
Share my last. Yeah. So here, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I have a web page. And of course, you can book a free 30-minute call with me if you like to know more, or if you have questions about overcoming barriers, or if you like to work with me, I'm happy to do so. You also get the presentation, and there are those contact details at the end.
Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Our next GWNet Power Session will be about the COP, and we'll have a kind of interview style about the latest at the COP. So stay tuned for more details on that. And a big applause to our speaker, Doro. Thank you so much. It was so great of you to give your time for this. So I'm really happy. And thank you for joining us, everyone. It was so lovely to have people from all over the world take part in this.
It's really impressive.
All right. Have a great afternoon, morning, evening, depending on where you are.